one of the common issues that business owners face is managing their cash flow. And so designing and implementing a system for collections is both easy and extremely powerful. Many businesses don't have an agreed or deliberately designed collections process. So what they find is much needed funds don't come into the business in a timely way. And I want to give you an example of a sample collection system. And I'll give you access to a copy of that, and you can send that out to people as well. I'm going to bring it up on my screen right now.
So this is going to be a good example of specifically collections, but of course we can put the same concept and process across any kind of tasks that we may be doing in the business.
Absolutely. There are a number of steps to creating a system. I'm not going to go into all of those steps now, but I want to just jump in and show you an example of a sample collection system. Not that you have to adopt this exact system, but you can see how one particular business implemented this. In fact, one of my clients implemented this exact system at a time when cash flow was, they were in a cash flow crisis essentially. And they brought in approximately £35,000 within a matter of 2 days of implementing the system, which meant the difference between bankruptcy and not for their business. So that's how powerful it can be. But let me just take you through a few of the steps just so you can see how it applies. So, you start up here. When an invoice is sent or resent, the idea is that the bookkeeper enters the invoice data into what they've called a receivables tracker, which is really just an Excel spreadsheet. And then they assign a follow-up date 30 days later to that invoice. Okay. Then, next step, the bookkeeper checks the bank account on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and updates that receivables tracker based on the payments received. So they get a sense in a timely way of which invoices are outstanding and which have come in. Then, on the follow-up date, the bookkeeper calls the client's accounts department if payment hasn't been received. Okay? And already just those steps are critical, because what happens in most businesses is they don't follow up their invoices in a timely way, and as a result, they're not bringing the money in, right? And then you can see here, you've got a decision that needs to be made. Was the call connected? If the answer is yes, then fantastic. The bookkeeper checks that the client has received the outstanding invoice, right? If they've received it, then we keep on going down this track. Then we check if there are any issues and confirm that they're happy to pay, right? If they're happy to pay, fantastic. The bookkeeper tries to resolve the issue. And you can see you keep on going down this track. If we go back to this decision tree over here and the call is not connected, then the idea is to enter a new follow-up date in the receivables tracker for 2 days later. Right? Then we go again. We call. Was the call connected? Yep, fantastic. And we go back up here into this process. If it was not connected, okay, so then we enter a third and final follow-up date in the receivables tracker for 2 days later. Again, you can see we're not leaving receivables to fester and grow into these, 90-day or 120-day or even longer receivables. They're being followed up in a timely manner, okay? And again, I could take you through every single step in the process, but what I'm going to do is provide you with this exact collection system, and you can have a look at it and adapt it to your business. Does that make sense, Liam?
Yeah, it does. Fantastic. Obviously, like the steps here are great, and I can see like with the first three there, like there's so many businesses that just don't even do it or cringe when they have to kind of chase their clients to be paid. But it's so important to have the cash flow and obviously money coming into the business to exist, to grow. So just on this, why is it important to kind of like draw up our system and steps like this, or how do we come up with this type of diagram?
Yeah, look, what I find is it's often helpful to have a visual picture of how the system applies. right? Many of us are visual learners, and it kind of makes sense for us if we can see the steps in the system. On the other hand, if you had a particularly simple system with not too many steps in the process and it's relatively linear, in that case, you may not need to do this type of diagram. It's really up to you. It's about making it easier to implement. So it's optional, if you like, but where possible, I recommend it's a good idea to do. You can see this system is created in a simple Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be complicated. There are complicated and sophisticated kind of purpose-designed software out there where it can enable you to systemize and create these sorts of diagrams. For some very complicated businesses that are involved in complex manufacturing, for example, that sort of thing can be helpful. For more simple systems like a collection system, I don't think you need to go down that track. You can do this in a very simple Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't have to cost you anything. You could do it in a PowerPoint if you wanted. All you need to do is create a few boxes, lines, and arrows.